Hi, thank you for watching Digging into China. I'm Deng Xiaopíng. If you have not done so already, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much. In mid-August, China's Premier Li Keqiang, when visiting Shenzhen in Guangdong province, he laid a wreath at the foot of a statue of Deng Xiaopíng and pledged to continue the Deng's reform and opening policy. This posture unleashed a flurry of rumors that he might be challenging Xi Jinping, who favors politics in command form of state capitalism. When speaking to local officials, Li said, "The Yellow River and the Yangtze River will not flow backwards." His remark was widely interpreted to mean that despite the recent setbacks for market reform like the Xi Jinping directed crackdown on China's top private technology companies, China would inevitably right its course and once again continue on a path of economic integration with the West. The location too was noteworthy. Shenzhen is China's first special economic zone. It was the place where many of China's economic reforms took off in the early 80s. It was also where Deng Xiaopíng himself traveled on his famed 1992 Southern Tour, where he jump-started the market opening. Please be noted, 1992 was the dark days of isolation for China after the Tiananmen Square massacre in June 1989, and when conservatives like Li Keqiang tried to push the country back towards a more planned system. While Li was traveling in the south, Xi Jinping went to the northeastern province of Liaoning. Xi visited a memorial commemorating the Liaoshen campaign in 1948, a major engagement that left the Chinese Communist Party (CCP) with a decisive edge over its nemesis in the ongoing civil war with the Kuomintang nationalists. Xi praised the superior strategic vision and planning of Mao Zedong and other CCP leaders for winning the Liaoshen campaign, and stressed that the Chinese Civil War was not just a battle of arms and firepower, but also a battle for the people's hearts and minds, according to state mouthpiece Xinhua. Henry Gao is a law professor at the Singapore Management University. He tweeted, "It is no coincidence that Xi went to Liaoning and Li to Guangdong. The two provinces represent different models of modernization. Northeastern China follows the Soviet style dominated by state-owned enterprises and heavy industry. Shenzhen tries to copy the US model by relying on private firms." China commentators have pointed to certain post-Beidaihe developments in arguing that there was fierce infighting among the party elites at the informal political enclave, that the Xi had likely made political concessions. Some commentators have also argued that the cracks in the party elite are becoming more obvious and that the CCP is headed for very dangerous times. So, was this the latest proof that Li is unhappy with China's economic direction, was unhappy with Xi, and is willing to challenge him? Remember, in May, at a tele address to 10,000 of local officials, Li made a remark which was widely seen as criticizing Xi's COVID-0 policy and also set off rumors that Xi's transition to a third term might not be so smooth. It is quite possible Li may be showing his disapproval of Xi, but for the speculation that Li is trying to block Xi's power grabbing, you can forget about it. It is not happening. In fact, after being widely shared on WeChat, the video of Li's Shenzhen speech was reportedly blocked and the news of his speech banned. The CCP is certainly facing increasing dangers as domestic and foreign crises pile up for the regime. However, the various post-Beidaihe developments to date show no change in Xi Jinping's political status from before Beidaihe and after. If anything, there are signs that Xi and the party elite had arrived at some semblance of consensus on his 20th Party Congress political agenda during Beidaihe. First sign, CCP propaganda and senior officials continue to prominently promote Xi's political theory, policies, speeches, accomplishment, and a paramount position in the party after Beidaihe. Second sign, there were foreign news reports about Xi is preparing to make diplomatic trips again. It is indicative of Xi's confidence in his current political status and a third-term bid. On August 12, the Wall Street Journal reported that Chinese officials are preparing for Xi to travel to Southeast Asia in November to attend 2 summits, meet President Joe Biden in person at the sidelines of one of the summits, and visit the countries in the region, citing people familiar with the preparations. Third sign, a key crony of Xi's factional rivals was handed a relatively lenient punishment shortly after the conclusion of Beidaihe. Xiao Jianhua, the founder of Tomorrow Group, was sentenced to 13 years in prison and fined 6.5 million yuan by the Shanghai No. 1 Intermediate People's Court on August 19. One possible reason is that Xiao's political patrons did not give Xi much trouble at Beidaihe and could have reached a consensus with Xi on his political agenda. To reward the compromise and to preserve intra-party consensus, Xi showed mercy towards Xiao by mitigating his punishment. Premier Li said earlier that he will be stepping down after this year, giving up any possible ambition to reach higher power that he once had. More importantly, over the last decade, Li has consistently been sidelined by Xi, who has effectively usurped even those powers traditionally held by the premier, such as economic policy making. Li simply has shown himself incapable of mounting any challenge to Xi. Christopher Johnson is a senior fellow at the Asia Society Policy Institute and a former longtime CIA China analyst. He wrote, "The narrative around Li Keqiang's purported challenge to Xi is both the most pervasive and the least well-grounded in substance. Li is also the feeblest premier in the CCP history, and that is by Xi's design." Adam Ni is the publisher and co-founder of China Neichan, China Internal Reference. He tweeted, "Li's trip to Shenzhen showed the action words of a man found wanting against the greater forces and trying to leave his mark on the public memory. It is Li's way of saying that he tried but failed, and this is goodbye." Xi's political status seems secure for the moment, but things could turn south quickly for Xi should the many crises facing the CCP spin out of control. Beijing must cope with rapid economic deterioration and the triggering of systematic financial risks, worsening property sector debt crisis, and a spreading financial contagion, energy and food problems caused by droughts, floods, and other natural disasters, and a growing social anger and a loss of confidence in the government over policies like zero COVID, increasing cost of living, wage cuts, rising unemployment, and the issues affecting national pride. Communist regimes appear strong and enduring on the surface, but can prove brittle in times of crisis. At the critical moments, serious economic and social problems in China could swiftly translate into existential danger for the CCP and its leaders. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment and subscribe to my channel. Just click the subscribe button right here. I'll see you again shortly. Until then, be well.